Welcome back to Everyday English Podcast, where we train your ears for real life. Today, we are going to fix the most dangerous habit in language learning, the nod. You are standing in line. The barista looks at you and says something incredibly fast, like, "Did you want that with almond milk or oat milk?" You panic. You didn't hear it. But there is a line of impatient people behind you, so you just smile and say, "Yes," and he hands you the wrong drink.
I did this yesterday at the bank, actually. The teller asked me a complicated question about a fee structure, and I just nodded because I was too scared to ask him to stop. I walked out having agreed to something I didn't understand, and I felt so small.
By the end of this episode, you will have 3 emergency breaks to stop any fast conversation and fix it without saying sorry or looking stupid.
It is such a terrible feeling, Sarah. You feel like an imposter. You have studied English for years. You know the grammar. You know the vocabulary. But in that split second when someone speaks quickly, your brain just freezes.
Exactly. And the natural reaction is to protect yourself. We want to save face. We do not want the other person to think we are slow or unintelligent. So we nod, we pretend, we say uh-huh or sure.
The problem is that the nod is a lie. You are promising the other person that you understood them.
And that is where the danger lies. If you nod at a coffee shop, you might just get almond milk instead of oat milk. That is a small problem. But if you nod at work when your boss gives you a deadline, or you nod at the doctor's office when they explain a dosage, you are creating a disaster for your future self.
I think we need to talk about why we do this. It is not just about language, is it? It is about psychology.
You are right. It is a social reflex. We are trained to keep the conversation moving. Silence feels awkward. Interrupting feels rude. So we choose the path of least resistance, which is pretending to understand.
But today, we are going to learn that interrupting is not rude if you do it correctly. In fact, interrupting to clarify shows that you are listening carefully. It shows respect.
That is the key shift. We need to move from passive hope to active control. When you listen passively, you just hope you catch enough words to guess the meaning. When you listen with active control, you manage the flow of information. You are the driver of the conversation, not the passenger.
So let's start with the first step. What do we do when that panic hits? When the barista or the boss speaks too fast and we miss the key information?
The first step is actually a mindset shift. You must stop apologizing for your English.
This is a big one. I hear learners say, "I am sorry, my English is bad," all the time.
And what happens when you say that, Tom?
The dynamic changes instantly. The other person usually sighs. They might look annoyed. Or worse, they start speaking to me like I am a child. They slow down too much and use very simple words. It feels condescending.
Exactly. When you apologize, you are telling them the problem is me. I am the broken part of this conversation. You lower your status. Instead of apologizing, I want you to blame the environment.
Blame the environment? What does that mean?
It means you attribute the misunderstanding to an external factor. If you were in a cafe, blame the noise. If you were on a phone call, blame the connection. If it is early in the morning, blame the time of day.
I see. So instead of saying, "Sorry, I don't understand," you say, "It is a bit loud in here. Could you say that again?"
Yes, or simply, "I didn't catch that last part." This is a neutral statement. It does not say, "My brain is slow." It says, "The signal did not reach me." It maintains your professional dignity.
I like that. It keeps you on the same level as the native speaker. You are just two people trying to communicate through a noisy world.
Let's practice a few of these blame the environment phrases. They are your first line of defense. If you are on a video call, like Zoom or Teams, never say, "Sorry, I don't understand." Say, "You cut out for a second there. Could you repeat that?" Even if they didn't actually cut out? Especially if they didn't cut out. It is a polite fiction. It gives you a valid reason to ask for a repetition without admitting a lack of language skill.
That is very clever. What about face-to-face?
If you are face-to-face, you can blame your own focus. You can say, "Sorry, I was distracted for a second. What was that?" This implies that normally your English is perfect, but in this specific moment, your attention slipped. It is a very natural thing that native speakers do all the time.
I do that in my own native language. I zone out and then I have to ask my friend to repeat himself. I never think, "Oh no, my listening skills are failing." I just think I wasn't paying attention.
Precisely. So step 1 is the mindset shift. Stop apologizing, start managing the environment. But now let's look at the specific techniques. What do you actually say to get the information you missed?
This is where I struggle. I usually just say, what? Or excuse me? And then they just repeat the whole long sentence again, usually just as fast.
That is the global repair trap. When you say what or please repeat, you are asking them to replay the entire tape. And usually, if you didn't understand it the first time, you won't understand it the second time because they will use the same vocabulary and speed. So we need a way to target just the part we missed. We need a surgical tool. We call this technique number 1, the echo. The echo, how does it work? The echo is simple. You repeat the last word or phrase that you did understand, but you say it with a rising intonation, like a question.
Can you give us an example?
Let's say your
Boss says, we need to get the Q3 financial reports finalized by Tuesday at noon. Imagine you understood Tuesday, but you have no idea what needs to be done by Tuesday. Okay, so the sentence was, we need to get the Q3 financial reports finalized by Tuesday at noon, and all I heard was a blur of noise and then Tuesday.
Right. Instead of saying, please repeat, you simply say, Tuesday?
Just that one word? Tuesday?
Yes. Think about what happens next. By saying Tuesday, you are confirming that you heard the timeline. The speaker knows they don't need to repeat Tuesday. They will naturally clarify the missing information, specifically. They will say, yes, the Q3 reports. We need them done.
Oh, I see. It forces them to break the sentence down. It isolates the missing piece.
Exactly. It also proves you were listening. It shows you caught part of the message. Let's try another one. Imagine you're at a train station. The announcer says, the train to Manchester has been delayed due to signaling problems at Watford Junction.
That is a classic difficult listening scenario. Fast announcements, echoey room. Let's say I heard Manchester and delayed, but I missed the reason.
So you turn to the person next to you. If you say, what did he say? They might recite the whole announcement. But if you use the echo, what would you say?
I would say, delayed?
And they will respond, yeah, signaling problems at Watford.
Or if I missed the location, I could say, signaling problems?
And they would say, at Watford Junction.
It is so much less effort than asking for the whole sentence again.
And it sounds so natural. Native speakers use the echo technique constantly. We do it to confirm details, to show surprise, or to keep a conversation going. It doesn't sound like a student tactic. It sounds like a conversation strategy.
There is a psychological benefit here too. It gives me a moment to think. While they are clarifying, my brain has a few extra seconds to process what is happening.
Absolutely. It buys you processing time. Now, there is a variation of this technique for when you hear a word you simply do not know.
This happens to me with menus at restaurants. I see a word like poached or braised and I panic.
So let's say the waiter says, today we have a special on the braised lamb shanks. You hear lamb shanks, but you don't know what braised means. You can echo the unknown word if you can mimic the sound. Braised?
And then the waiter explains, oh, it means cooked slowly in liquid.
Exactly. But what if you can't even mimic the sound? What if it was just a blur?
That is when I usually freeze.
In that case, you echo the part before the blur. You have a special on the...
And I let the sentence hang in the air? You have a special on the...
Yes, your voice should go up at the end. It signals to them, I followed you up to this point, but then I fell off. They will naturally fill in the blank. The braised lamb.
This is really empowering. It feels like a game of catch. I catch the ball, I hold it for a second, and I throw it back. I am not just getting hit in the face with the ball.
That is a great metaphor. You are keeping the ball in play. Now, before we move to the second technique, I want to address something about tone. When you use the echo, your face must match your voice. You should look curious, not terrified.
Right. If I look terrified and scream Tuesday, they might think I'm angry about the deadline.
Yes, keep your eyebrows up, keep your voice light. It's a casual check-in, not a crisis.
Okay, so we have the echo. It works great when you catch at least one word. But what about the worst case scenario? What if the person speaks for 30 seconds and I understand absolutely nothing?
That is the total blackout. It happens. Maybe their accent is very strong or they are mumbling. In this case, the echo won't work because you have nothing to echo.
This is where I would normally just nod and pray.
And this is where we need technique number 2, the specific ask.
How is this different from just asking what?
The specific ask forces the speaker to give you a multiple choice answer. It restricts their vocabulary. You are essentially creating a menu for them to choose from.
Can you give us an example?
Let's go back to the coffee shop intro. The barista mumbles, did you want that with oat milk or almond? You didn't hear it, but you know the context. You know you are ordering coffee. You know there are variables, milk, sugar, size, hot or iced.
So I use my context clues.
Yes. Instead of saying what, you ask a specific question about one of those variables. You say, Did you ask about the milk?
Did you ask about the milk? That is brilliant, because even if he asked about the size, he will correct me.
Exactly. If he asked about milk, he'll say, yes, oat or almond. If he asked about size, he'll say, no, I asked if you want medium or large. Either way, you get the information you need, and you have reset the conversation to a speed you can handle.
You are
Taking control of the topic. You are guessing the category of the question. Yes, let's try it with a workplace example. Your colleague stops you in the hallway and talks very fast about a meeting and a project and a client. You are lost. You only know it is about the project.
So I could say, did you ask about the timeline or the budget?
Perfect. Even if you are wrong, you win. If he says, neither, I asked about the staffing, you have your answer. By giving him two options, timeline or budget, you force him to simplify his complex thought into a simple category.
It is like being a detective. You are narrowing down the possibilities.
And notice the grammar I used. Did you say X or Y? Or are we talking about X? These are simple structures. You don't need advanced grammar to manage a conversation. You need strategy.
This is really useful for phone numbers too. If someone rattles off a long number, 077-009-00461, and I miss it, I shouldn't say repeat the number.
No, because they will rattle it off again just as fast. You should say, did you start with 077?
And then they say yes, 077, and they usually slow down for the next part because they see I am writing it down.
That is the secret power of the specific ask. It signals that you are processing data. It makes the other person naturally slow down and enunciate more clearly without you ever having to say, please speak slowly.
Asking someone to speak slowly can be awkward. It makes the conversation feel artificial, but asking, did you say 15 or 50, feels like a normal business clarification.
Exactly. It preserves the natural rhythm.
Sarah, before we move on to the next section, I just want to pause for a second. We are covering some really practical strategies here, and I know a lot of our listeners are looking for exactly this kind of real-world advice.
That is right. If you are enjoying this episode and you want to build a daily habit of improving your English listening and speaking, make sure you are subscribed to the Everyday English podcast. We don't just teach grammar rules. We teach you how to survive and thrive in real conversations.
And if you hit the notification bell, you'll get our short lessons and our deep dive episodes like this one delivered straight to you. It's the easiest way to make sure you never miss a strategy that could save you from an awkward silence.
Now, Tom, I want to put these techniques to the test. We are going to do a simulation.
I love these simulations. My palms are sweating already.
Good. I want our listeners to feel that pressure too. I am going to act as the fast speaker. I will mumble, I will speak quickly, and I will use difficult vocabulary.
And I will use the techniques we just learned to fix the breakdown.
Listeners, I want you to imagine you are in Tom's shoes. Try to think of the response before Tom says it. Ready?
Ready.
Scenario 1. We are at a loud networking event. There is music playing. I am holding a drink. I lean in and say, so what do you do for a living?
For a living?
Yeah, what do you do? Your job.
Ah, I work in marketing.
Stop there. That was perfect. What did you do, Tom?
I used the echo. I heard the end of your sentence, for living, which sounded like for a living, so I just repeated it with a question mark. For a living?
And notice how I responded. I confirmed it, and I rephrased it simply. What do you do? Your job. I did the work for you.
It felt very low stress. I didn't have to decode the first part of your sentence, which was just a mumble.
Scenario 2. You are checking into a hotel. I am the receptionist. I am typing on my computer and not looking at you. I say, we have taken a deposit for incidentals, but it will be refunded.
You took a deposit?
Yes, just for incidentals. It refunds automatically.
Okay, that worked. I heard the word deposit. That was the anchor. I echoed it back to check if I needed to pay now.
And by confirming you took a deposit, you verified the main action. You didn't need to understand incidentals or refunded immediately. My answer clarified that it is refundable.
It is amazing how much filler text we can ignore if we just verify the keywords.
Scenario 3. Hard mode. We are on the phone. The connection is crackly. I say, we brought the launch forward to Friday.
Did you say Friday?
Yes, Friday. The launch is on Friday now.
I used the specific ask there. I heard Friday clearly, but I wasn't sure if you said the launch was moved to Friday or finished by Friday. By asking, did you say Friday, I forced you to confirm the date.
And notice that when I confirmed, I naturally expanded the sentence. The launch is on Friday now. I gave you the context you missed.
This is a really important lesson. Native speakers want to be understood. If you give them a small nudge, they will help you. They will rephrase, they will expand. You just have to trigger that help.
But you have to trigger it immediately. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. That brings me to a crucial point about timing. You need to use these emergency brakes instantly. You mean I can't wait until you finish the paragraph? No. If you wait until I have spoken for 2 minutes and then you say, "Sorry, I didn't catch the first sentence," I will be frustrated. I have to repeat everything. That is true. It is much less annoying to be interrupted after 5 seconds than after 5 minutes. So interrupting is actually an act of kindness. You are saving the speaker's time, but you have to do it politely. What are some polite phrases to interrupt? I feel rude just saying stop. Never say stop. That is a command. We want to be collaborative. Use the wait sounds. The wait sounds? Sounds like, hang on, 1 sec, or sorry, just a second. These are soft interrupters. Hang on, did you say Friday? Yes, that is perfect. It sounds casual and friendly. 1 sec, the line is breaking up. Did you mention the budget? Sorry, just a second, it's loud in here. You said the meeting is when? These phrases act like a cushion. They soften the blow of the interruption.
I want to go back to the barista scenario one last time because I think that is where most people feel the most panic. It is the time pressure. There are people waiting behind you.
Yes, the queue anxiety.
If I use the specific ask there, won't it take too long?
Let's time it. Option A, you nod, you get the wrong drink, you have to ask them to remake it, that takes 3 minutes. Option B, you say what? They repeat it. You still don't hear. You say what again? They shout it, everyone stares. That takes 30 seconds of pure embarrassment. Option C, you say, sorry, did you ask about milk? They say yes. You say oat. That takes 5 seconds. When you put it that way, the technique is actually the fastest option. It is efficient. Competence is efficient. Pretending is inefficient because it leads to errors that must be fixed later. And I guess confidence comes from knowing you have a plan. If I walk into the cafe knowing that I have the echo and the specific ask in my pocket, I won't feel so nervous. That is the goal. We are not trying to eliminate the noise or the fast talking. We cannot control the world. We are trying to give you the tools to navigate it.
It is like driving a car. You can't stop the rain, but
you can turn on the windshield wipers. These techniques are your windshield wipers. I love that analogy. The rain will come. People will mumble. Accents will be difficult. But you don't have to crash the car. You just turn on the wipers.
There is one more layer to this, Sarah. What about the people who are afraid that their accent is the problem? They think, if I interrupt, they won't understand my question either.
That is a valid fear. But remember, the echo is usually just 1 or 2 words. It is much easier to pronounce 1 word clearly than a whole sentence explaining your confusion.
That is true. Saying Tuesday is much easier than saying, I apologize, could you please repeat the time of the meeting?
Simplicity is your friend. The shorter your intervention, the less likely you are to make a pronunciation error. And because you are repeating a word they just said, the context is already established in their brain. They are primed to hear that word.
So the cognitive load is lower for everyone.
Exactly.
You know, I think the biggest takeaway for me today is that the nod is actually a selfish act. We think we are being polite, but really we are just protecting our own ego. We are prioritizing our comfort over clear communication.
That is a harsh truth, but it is true. Real politeness is ensuring that the message is received correctly. Real politeness is valuing the other person's information enough to clarify it.
So if we want to be truly polite English speakers, we have to be brave enough to be awkward for 2 seconds.
Be awkward for 2 seconds to avoid being confused for 2 days. That is the trade-off.
Before we wrap up, Sarah, do you have any advice for practicing this alone? It is hard to practice interruption when you are by yourself.
You can practice with podcasts or YouTube videos. In fact, you can practice with this podcast.
How would that work?
Play an episode at 1.5x speed. Make it uncomfortable. Then randomly pause the audio. Challenge yourself. What was the last word? Say it out loud with a rising intonation. Intonation? Speed?
That is a great drill. You are training your reflex to echo rather than to freeze.
You can also practice the specific ask with the radio. Listen to the news. When they switch stories, pause and ask aloud. Are they talking about politics or sports? Did they say London or New York?
It sounds silly doing it alone, but you are building the neural pathways so that when the pressure is real, the words come out automatically.
Exactly. Athletes train the same movements thousands of times so they don't have to think during the game. You are a language athlete. You need to train your repair muscles.
So let's summarize the 3 emergency breaks we covered today.
Break number 1, the mindset shift. Don't say sorry. Blame the noise, the connection, or your distraction.
Break number 2, the echo. Repeat the last heard word as a question. Tuesday?
Break number 3, the specific ask. Give them a multiple choice. Did you ask about milk or sugar?
And the underlying rule for all of them, do it immediately. Don't wait.
Now, we have a challenge for you, a no-nod challenge.
I like the sound of that.
For the next 24 hours, I want you to catch yourself. The moment you feel that urge to just smile and nod when you didn't hear something, stop.
Use one of the breaks, even if it is just with your family or a friend.
Use the echo. Use the specific ask. And then I want you to notice the reaction. Notice that nobody gets angry. Notice that the conversation actually becomes smoother.
And let us know how it goes. Write a comment and tell us which technique saved you from an awkward moment.
We promise, once you stop nodding, you will start actually understanding. It is a scary first step, but it changes everything.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Good luck with the challenge.
See you in the next episode. Stay curious.